you know a research by Stanford University found that walking can increase creative output by up to 60%? In this video, Amy and I will talk about creativity. Let's go!
Hello, everyone. My name is Amy Wong, and I'm the founder of Dream Writers, a self-publishing platform for young creative writers and artists. Our mission is to spark creativity in kids of all ages and delight the world with their stories. And this is our very first podcast where we will be using this time to explore different topics ranging from creativity to education to writing and publishing. And this is why I am so excited to have our very first guest, Melissa Lee, to join us. Hi, Melissa.
Hello, Amy.
So a brief introduction. Melissa is the founder of ukegarden, a Cambridge-based education consultancy that offers one-stop and bespoke services to international students in the UK. She's also a management consultant, as well as a publisher of 2 books. So I'm so pleased to have her here. And I thought we would start by just starting with your journey. Can you share a little bit about how you came to start the UK Education Garden?
Yes, thank you so much for introducing me and inviting me to be here. Back in 2009, I started my master's degree at the University of Cambridge, where I met a lot of MBA and EMBA students. And they are all mature students, they have families, and once they study in Cambridge, they just fall in love with this place, and they want to send their kids here. Since I've been studying education for quite some time, and they just trust me, they bring their kids to me and ask me to send them to a good school in the UK. So that's how I started my own consultancy.
I see.
Which is quite interesting. And then those MBA students now they become my friends, and they refer quite a lot of families to me. So our consultancy mainly work with those EMBA or MBA's families around.
Okay. And so can you take it a step back and tell us how you kind of got into education and why you fell in love with this particular field?
That's a very good question. My story is pretty much like a Chinese author. He was a medical doctor, just like my father. And originally, when I was small, I would like to become a medical doctor or a politician. But my father constantly remind me not to go for that. And the next available option, which I love to do, is education. And that's why when I finished my A-level, I've told myself not to choose GPA, which at that time is about government politics and management. But I swapped it to education. It was a difficult decision, but I need to listen to my parents because they will worry about me if I become a politician. And that's why I am now an educator, which I find it quite fulfilling as well. For the past 15 years, I've been helping a lot of kids and their families, which is quite nice. It's like being a doctor.
Yeah, I think a lot of people would feel the same way in that their parents may have a certain direction that they want their kids to follow. But ultimately, I think it's up to all of us individually to chart our own path. So given your experience, in Hong Kong, growing up in Hong Kong, studying here, and then working in the UK for almost 15 years. Can you tell us a little bit more about the differences you see in education in Hong Kong versus the UK?
Yes, I think UK is much more focused on creativity and arts. Having been a student in both Asia and Europe, I just can tell there's a very massive difference between the education systems in different countries. Personally, I really like the UK system myself. I just give you an example. I love my kids to learn Chinese. I I did think about whether I should send them back to Hong Kong, and I've relocated back to Hong Kong because the kids could learn solid Chinese in Hong Kong. But then when I think of creativity and art or sports element, I love them to stay in the UK. Because this is something I just don't think Asian culture could. How do I put it? I think UK is better. Let me put it this way. I think a lot of Hong Kong education or teachers has been adapting the UK cultures or the UK systems. I'm sure it's now getting much better.
So you talked about your preference towards a more creative-based education. Can you tell us a little bit more about why you think it's so important?
It is important because when you can Google everything on your fingertips, and knowledge is just so easy to get, I think creativity is the future.
Yeah, I didn't think about it that way because I guess in the past when we were growing up, we're taking tests and exams, and a lot of it wasn't available so easily on the internet. But kind of looking towards the future when we have to solve such unprecedented issues in the world, it requires creative thinking. Interesting. Yeah.
I think the world is getting much more complicated. For example, the COVID has changed the world in the past 12 months. If we don't have any creative method, I don't know how we could solve the problem. Because there's nothing in the previous book, not too much that we could follow.
Yeah, that's very true.
That, which we've been experienced for the past 12 months is not a good thing to have.
Yeah, absolutely. Interesting. So I wanted to maybe switch course a little bit because I understand that you've published 2 books before. Can you tell us a little bit about what the contents of those books are and what inspired you to write them?
The first book which I published was back in 2006. Both me and Maggie was another co-author. We went to different parts of the world to interview the world famous children's author, which was a wonderful experience.
Oh, you interviewed other authors.
We interviewed, yes.
Oh, yeah. I see.
Maggie and I interviewed a lot of famous authors. We have a professor in Taiwan, a professor in Germany, a professor in England. So we cover Hong Kong, Taiwan, mainland China, and Western countries.
Did you see a certain pattern in your interviews with all these different authors?
They all love writing.
Okay, yeah.
And they all love something. Obviously, they love children and they love writing. They also trying to be creative in their teaching so that they can inspire the next generation.
And when you say, just picking up on what you just said, when they try to be creative in the way they teach, what kind of things do you notice?
Well, I've noticed, I've been to their lessons. The reason why I now settle down in Cambridge, because there's a good university here, which also offers children's literature. I haven't got a chance to study it because I'm very busy. But what I've noticed is I've been joining different types of lessons in Cambridge or in the surrounding area, like London or in Durham. And what I've noticed is all those creativity or creative writing teacher, they just let you do whatever you want. Or even in writing, they give you the freedom to do it. Of course, they will guide you to the right direction, but to start with, they give you the freedom to do something you like.
I see.
This is how I'm teaching my kids as well. I want them to do something they like, especially when they are small.
Yeah. So it's that idea of not sort of restricting them to do certain things, but allowing them to explore and experiment.
Yes.
Gotcha. And so in your teaching and consulting and even writing your books, do you see an interest or more of an interest in kids to write and publish their own stories?
I'm getting a lot more interest for students who love writing. Yes, and we're just so lucky in the UK. We have a lot of good postgraduate schools. You can do 1 year creative writing. So I will point them in that direction.
Yes. Do you think technology has a role in kind of getting kids more interested in publishing? Because in the past, it's always been adults kind of being the authors and publishers of books.
Of course,
yes.
Sometimes my kids want to write something, and I would just use my phone to take some pictures of their own creating and just put it in the computer and then get a print myself. So it's quite easy nowadays, and there are also a lot of platforms which could allow you to do that.
Right. And how does writing help with cultivating kids' creativity?
Writing is a solid part of the kids' learning. I think if we could integrate creativity with the writing, actually the kids would learn more vocabularies, and they will also enjoy their learning a lot more. They can do whatever they want when they are small. Although when you're older, you can't. Like my father, don't get into politics.
I see. So rather than, let's say, having the kid learn like grammar or spelling through workbooks or things like that of that nature, it's allowing them to explore a subject that they're interested in, and then through that, then they can learn these mechanical things afterwards.
Yes, I agree. Yes. Yeah. And even when they are writing, they know that if they're going to publish it, they will suddenly care about how they write it in a better way, because they know it's part of their portrait. It's part of their own work.
Right.
And they will suddenly become, oh, how do I put this word correctly?
It's different from the idea of sharing. Oh, I'm sorry. Go ahead.
It's different from doing a piece of homework, which they will, oh, it's just a piece of homework. But when you tell them, oh, we're going to publish this, can we do it a little bit better? They suddenly ask you, oh, how do I spell this, or how do I spell that? How do I put the sentences into the right order?
So it's the idea of being able to share and entertain others that maybe makes them more conscious of their own writing.
I think it's all, you're right. It's also making them more eager to learn to express themselves in a much better way.
Great. Well, my last question for you is, if you had any advice to give, kids who may be a little bit, not a little bit scared of writing, or maybe kids who like to write in general to publish.
Yes.
What advice would you give?
I think it's important for them to go to the nature. For example, you can bring them to the forest. We have a lot of forest school here in the UK, which is amazing. Or bring them to the green area, bring them to the seaside, so that they could join the nature, they connect with the nature. And then what I've noticed is they will have much more creative ideas when they're coming back.
Oh, I see. So kind of use the environment as a source of inspiration.
Yes.
Okay. Great.
To kids, this is something they like, and it's good for their health. And also, it will give them a vital message that they need to love our world. Because when they grow up, they are going to control our world. They will be the next generation. So I want them to love the environment.
Yeah,
We started
absolutely.
when they were small.
Uh-huh.
Mhm.
Great. I think that's a really positive message and very encouraging as well.
Hello, I would like to show you some examples of how I use different types of toys, musical instruments, and books to teach my kids creativity at home. My son loves trains. So in my house, we got a lot of trains and train track. What I've been doing is when they were very small, they started to build up all the train track themselves. And I will introduce you all different types of train from different parts of the world, like from France, Germany, Japan, or China. And he also loved drawing different types of trains. And this is one of his creation when he was 3 years old. Let me just quickly show you. So can you see the different types of train track? And he puts it all together as a very, very big photo. It reminds you of a very famous Chinese picture. And sometimes we will use the recycled material as well. Look at this. This is also a little train. And there are also some really creative books which I've been showing and reading to them. For example, this one. I'm sure you will know. And it's all about the ocean. And in the same version, that one, 海底100層的家, is a Chinese book. I think originally it's from Japan. And in the UK, we can also buy a similar one about ocean, and it has different layers. They are so creative. It gives them a lot of ideas about building a house or being creative.
Well, Melissa, thank you so much for your time. I know, you're a very, very busy person. I think you're working on your third book, if I'm not mistaken. So I want to thank you so much again for your time and for sharing your thoughts and insights on creativity and its role in education.
Thank you so much, Amy. Hope to see you next time.
Okay,
Bye-bye.
thank you. Bye.
A lot of Asian parents and students have joined us already. If you would like to get the top tips on UK education and UK life, do subscribe our YouTube channel and like our Facebook page, Happy England.